Okay, are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Looks like we might be live. Everything is coming up. Uh, there. And it looks like we are live. We are recording from Arlington, Vermont. Uh, I am Mr. Katie, and these are hobbies that make me happy. And it seems that we are. I guess this is the 26th one, so I've been doing this for a whole half a year. So not quite sure if it was a good idea to see about doing something special, but longtime viewers will notice that the screen behind me is not black anymore, it's green. Originally it was green, but then I decided to go with black because it absorbed light a lot more. It actually still, basically I had the green behind the black, and today decided to, put the green in front of the black and see how, what happened last week is that my, my face was so, I mean, it's actually still showing a little too much reflection and all that. But my face was almost the color of this. It was just, I was like, there was no color in my face at all. So, and there was too much contrast. So I turned around, flipped it over to the green side, and it looks like I'm not, a pale white ghost. I do have a I still have a blue one set up. I never took it out of the never took it out of, well, it's not in a package. I never unfolded it because one of the things I did do is it was supposed to be sort of like the backdrop for the layout. But I only need, the thing is I bought two, I only needed one. So that's why that never, that's why I never took that back out. But I might go with, I know I picked the green and yellow as for the logo and all that, but I think blue might look better than green. Don't know. It's just one of those things of I'm still learning, and a lot of channels I've seen, a good portion of them, they're about, I would say, almost a year old before they start picking up a little bit with subscribers. Right now, I only have 63, but then again, originally when I started this, I was unemployed. So it's one of those things that I will try to get as many subscribers as possible and get monetized and all that stuff. And of course, one of those things, as soon as I started all this, planning and really diving into stuff and all that, of course, I get employed. So my enthusiasm to grow the channel has waned a bit. Trying to get, at first it was trying to get used to the new schedule, because at first it was like I was doing nothing, and then all of a sudden now I'm doing 10-hour shifts. It threw my it did throw my rhythm off, and now that the solstice, summer solstice is just passed as of this recording, then I was starting to think of what to do, uh, get a more set time frame. Now that I feel very comfortable in my job, that I was able to turn around and says, all right, let's change the time a little bit. And the reason why I picked this time, which is 3 to 4 p.m. East Eastern time, was a combination of a lot of things. One is that there's so many channels out there. There is a possibility of stepping on, setting up at the same time with somebody else, which, as soon as I decided to pick this time, oh, this person does this time. It's like, it's one of those things of it's going to happen. I mean, 2 years ago when the pandemic was starting to hit and all that, there wasn't there was a good chance of not, picking a time and not really being over on top of somebody. Now it's going to be that way, because a lot of people, I think the pandemic has gotten a lot of people to start YouTube channels, because it was one of those things of, well, they just got laid off, and what else are they going to do? Some people wind up being very good at it. There's a couple of channels that I know that they started with nothing, and they just happened to hit a niche that was just, like a perfect storm. And all of a sudden they're, it's like it just went up. Model trains, from what I understand, is not it's not a hobby that, I mean, it has a real community with it, but it's not one of the channels I'm thinking that had to do with food and history. And they just, and they're just putting stuff out there and all that, and all of a sudden it just caught. Because people like food, and apparently there's also people like a lot about history. I know for myself, that's what I'm modeling is. First it was more of the 1870s, and when something came up recently, I decided to do specifically 1876, which is the centennial of the United States. Because what I was watching was the bicentennial. It's like, wait a minute, I'm doing 100 years beforehand. Might as well, do that and see how people celebrate this the centennial. And so that's going to wind up having a lot of research and etc. like that. So that's where I'm at that. Also, I'm having with starting this channel, I've also done things that I've never done before. One is doing scenery. I never done, I've helped out with other people's scenery and all that, but I've never done it on my own. And one of the things that I wound up doing was trying to do a stream, and using Mod Podge, and apparently I didn't figure out exactly what was supposed to do and all that, because the scene has all bubbles all throughout it. And then apparently I had forgotten that I needed to add toilet paper to sort of make waves and stuff like that, and my assumption is that the bubbles are still there, but because of the waves and all that, it doesn't look as distracting. Well, hello, Anthony. Thank you for coming. Yes, I have. I've changed days and times. One, the New Tracks Modeling, which got me helping out them, got me into uh, comfortable being in front of the camera, or not in front of the camera, but being comfortable, being on YouTube because I was helping out with their channel. And the thing is that they just started something where they're on the same time slot I was, and I decided, okay, not to step. Not. I don't think they deliberately made the decision of stepping on the same exact schedule. Uh, but also at the same time, I was thinking, well, it's probably time for a change and all that, and we'll see what this schedule is from 5 to 4 p.m. On the Eastern Coast. One of the reasons why I picked that time, but one of the reasons why I changed the time is that when I started this channel half a year ago, 7 p.m. was dark. And as spring came along, all of a sudden I'm having the sunset. Right now the camera is facing east, so the sunset's behind the camera and right in my eyes. And it was one of those things of, all right, we'll change it to, more natural light at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But it's also not directly into my face. And I think that was a good. I'm thinking that it's a good move. Another thing is that from 3 to the reason why I picked 3 to 4 is that on Fridays, Arlington, Vermont right now is having their farmers market at 4. It starts at 4 o'clock. So my thought was, all right, get done with the live stream and then turn around and let's see. So Fridays, hate the crust. Well, Anthony, it's one of those things of 2 years ago. Everything was wide open. Nobody was having stuff and all that. And then, the pandemic, and now everyone's trying to get, starting channels and all that. And eventually it's going to be turning around and stepping on or crossing over and all that. I mean, it's just going to happen. And I mean, yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, that's unfortunate. I mean, that also means, for half of the, since I'm going to 4 o'clock, for the first half hour, I won't be seeing yours. So there's just sort of kind of no way around it. The reason why I didn't go Friday in the evening is that the first Friday of every month, there's a place no free time. Well, the thing is, I used to work at a hardware store. The one major complaint with the people who guys that had retired, it's like, gee, I'm working harder now than when I was working, because you got to get the honeydew list and all that, and it just keeps on piling up and all that, etc. But also, because of my workplace, I actually work 10-hour shifts for 4 days. So it's 6 to 4:30, the half-hour lunch, and then from and Fridays is usually a half a day, and that's for if there's any overtime available. Today I went to work because I work in shipping and receiving, and we're getting a container in that was going to Australia, so it's one of those things that had to be loaded up. And that was the only real thing that there was other small little details and all that, but it's one of those things of once that was done, it's like, sort of like, not quite twiddling my thumbs. There was stuff to do. It's just that there was no rush for it. So, and also today I experimented by taking the bus. Normally I drive back and forth to work because I own a car. But the thing is that there was no one going to be there early. So it's one of those things of going like, what's the point of getting there at 6 o'clock in the morning and wait an hour? And the bus usually gets there at 7. And so my thought was the Green Mountain Express is very interesting because it's supported by local businesses, and it's usually not, it's very inexpensive to ride it, but since the pandemic, the decision was made to make it free for everyone. They just recently got rid of the mask mandate, so I was went to wear a mask, and I was like, well, I've never done this before and all that. Why, thank you, Anthony. It is one of those things of I'm finding out that watching doing the builds, I'm actually doing something towards the layout. I'm not I'm having a hard time being motivated. So by doing the things on the live stream and all that, that's my layouts going forward, which I guess is more therapeutic. Say that 5 times fast. And it's actually humbling that people are willing to actually see me build stuff, because I am not an expert at all, but it's somebody that's just, I guess, likes building stuff. And speaking of building stuff, let me switch over cameras. All right, I'm in the process of trying to redo this stream. You can't see it on, I don't think you can actually see it on the camera, but there's a lot of bubbles in the clearness. Up will nah, it's too shiny, but there's bubbles, all small little itty bitty bubbles all over. So my plan is to try to fix that. How I'm going to fix that is to add more Mod Podge, but then on top of that, add some toilet paper, sort of make waves and all that, and then making it so wavy that maybe it will make the bubbles less noticeable. So let me grab the Mod Podge. And one of the things that it's more in print, basically having this set up where basically you got two streams coming into each other and a much larger stream heading out. This is the first layer. Now, unfortunately, this is a little bit too wide to fit all the frame. You should see some of the bubbles that form up. One thing I want to see about doing, I'm not quite sure how to do it, but maybe adds a little bit more brownness in this section here. Make it just a little more bluish. Make it like it's a fast running stream going into a slow moving river. Of course, then the river would be not as wavy. Try to make the stream definitely a lot more rapidy. That's such a word. Have a hair coming out of the brush. Go grab some toilet paper. And I guess some of the things that I've seen, they had quilted paper like this. Still sort of a had scissors. I was looking at scissors when I was setting this up. I could run it. So, Now, since this is water, it doesn't have to be for nature. It doesn't have to be perfect. And also, well, all right. So, thank you for coming, Anthony, and I'll probably pop in afterwards. This. I should have asked Anthony. Still not in the country. Thing is, I did have up to I think 3 or 4 people. As soon as Anthony said, "Oh, he's starting his own," all of a sudden they disappeared. Oh well, Anthony has been doing this a lot more than I have, so it's a much larger following. Okay, so this one before it's the beginning of so it's according to plan, but there. One of the things I'm not quite sure how this is going to end up, but it's one of those things of a lot of times it's more important to try than to not try. That's what I'm doing, trying to see how it works, how this is going. I think I might have to do something sort of like over the line. Just get things a little so you more coverage. keep poking at this until it eventually looks right. When that'll be, I don't know. This is a distinct possibility. It'll never look right. Oh, hello, Heath. Actually, Anthony had just left to start his. So he will not be responding to you. And apparently I wound up, he starts his live stream on Friday at 3:30. So he's only able to catch half of what I do. Right now I'm trying to fix my stream here. When I did this, I had a lot of bubbles and all that, and apparently I forgot to add the toilet paper. So that's what I'm doing right now. Fortunately, this diorama is slightly out of the stream, or out of the view of the screen. But after watching the video on trying to think of his name now. I want to say Markland of Sweden. Well, it looks okay, but just keep on poking at it till it looks relatively water-ish. Idea for this, what my plan is that this right here, a very fast-moving stream, brook, and it's going into this much slower-moving river. One thing I might have to do is maybe make this a little bit, add some brown to this as fast-moving water, and then when it gets into here, have this section here be relatively clear, and then where this is a little bit more muddy. But it's one of those things of that's why I started on these little dioramas, to sort of practice on before I put stuff on the actual layout. Well, I haven't tried it before. I haven't tried the toilet paper technique before, so soon we'll find out what happens after it dries. How well that it works. One thing I have done is that I have bought large bottles of Mod Podge. I'm used this one, sort of use it as a refill so it doesn't dry out the. One thing I found out, if you get a nice big huge bottle and all that, but unfortunately it winds up drying out, or it winds up being well, with the glue that I've been using. This is a relatively large bottle, so right now I'm towards the end and all that. It's starting to get chunky. So I think I've even added some water in it just to make it less chunky. But once I get the river figured out and all that, then I got to figure out how to make that look much prettier. But unfortunately, I think the way the camera is set up, it's not really. Yeah. Oh well. So I'm sort of trying to make the stream go this way. Another thing on what I might do, of course, now that I'm thinking of it, I probably should have done it ahead. Put rocks in the, sort of in the stream portion of it. I got the rocks that I'm planning on putting around the area. They're a little bit more on the tan side. They're basically aquarium gravel. It's one of those things of some of the places, the streams that around where I am, the rocks are actually relatively large. They're not really pebbles. There's some cases that I'm actually have tempted to put on a diorama. It's like put an actual rock on here because there's some areas where there's big huge rocks, that are just there. Turn around and says, "Oh, that looks so out of place." It's like, here's the prototype picture of it. That's one thing I remember when I was younger. I think it was Model Railroad magazine had it ain't prototypic, and it was all the things that the railroad's never actually done that, and then there's a picture of that same thing. One was had to do with it had to do with using a a roadway tunnel over tracks where you had the portal. You had the train portal, and then on top of the train portal was a road. And it's like, oh, that's not prototypical. And I forgot where it was, but it was a picture of a main line that was going through a tunnel, and on top of the tunnel entrance was a automotive road. One that I knew that I've actually seen. It's in Troy, New York. Where they never put a switch on a bridge on Troy. Well, used to be one. That switch has been since removed. I was sort of like that. Nice to have that little series. Sometimes people, oh, they never. Yes, they did. Now, as I was telling Anthony, the reason why I changed my time is because when I'm doing I guess the talking head shot, uh, the the window is directly behind the camera, which is where the sunset is. Now, when I started this a half a year ago, it was dark out at 7 o'clock. Then, as well, time moved on, and all of a sudden now it's what had happened is that, as the days got longer, it got to a point where the sunset was in my eyes while I was, going live. So knowing that's probably going to happen for the fall. Now, also because of I'm pretty I don't want to say comfortable with my new job. It's more of I know I'm not getting fired anytime soon. So that's why I decided to figure out what my options were, etc., and decide on uh, 3 to 4 p.m. on Friday. All right. And that looks like that's going to be dry, point of drying. Figure out. Now, when I first put this together, I actually had track on the rails or track on the trestle. Wound up taking them off for reasons that I can't think of at this point in time. But if I remember correctly, this right here is uh, one cork road bed lower than this. Now I'm not adding cork. Actually, let's move that aside. Let's move that over here. This thing. And from this diagram. Whereas the other diorama is for a trestle, this diorama is for a queen post bridge. Which is goes there. I'm thinking about having like rock faces here. And I'm not quite sure if I want to do something similar with having this as a river and having a small stream. Or maybe I'll build this up and just make the whole thing to a big. As I'd like to concentrate on one thing at a time, but this is not good. 15 minutes to go. Got my free clock that one of the local places had a bunch of say, hey, this stuff is free. And just added a battery, and I did take out the watercolor it wasn't a clock face, but as you can see, this is some of the colors that they wound up using. It was sort of if you didn't know it was an analog clock, you would thought it was just a regular painting. But my idea for this was if I do time lapses, you can actually see, time go along, how big time go faster. Because a lot of times it's very hard to, let people know how things are going. There is Unfortunately, the camera is not in the right uh, 3/4 view and all that. But see, this has plenty of clearance. Now, the thing is that I have recently built a covered bridge. Well, but the thing is that covered bridge, I wound up actually making the normal bridge a little bit longer, so the covered bridge doesn't quite fit properly. Have it so I can actually turn around and one diagram for both bridges. The thing is that they are not at the same level. So I have not made a diorama for covered bridge yet, but I have gotten parts from it. This is actually from work. I work at a place that makes mattresses, and sometimes the roll of fabric comes in these 4-foot long. They come on pallets, and they got these as a spacer to keep it so the rolls of fabric don't roll around. I've already cut the sides of this, another side, and all that. Gonna use that as a base for that. I think this is recycled cardboard. I mean, it's pretty tough. So this should take care of the diagram for the covered bridge. I mean, it almost fits. I got to figure out what to do for abutments. Have a very slow stream underneath it. So that should be interesting. The thing is that they're constantly throwing these. So I got plenty of stuff. Actually, it also can be used for actually probably making substructures and stuff like that. All right, well, thank you, Heath. It's one of those things of it's your fault that I'm doing this, so it's nice to know I'm doing something right. I would have to say now that I've changed my timing a little bit, there's a good chance I've lost some people, which, it's. I think originally I was thinking of, oh well, I won't have to, do stuff, and being unemployed, is something to do. But now that I'm employed, that's why I really haven't been promoting it as much, because leaving work and all that, pretty tired and all that, and now that I'm getting more and more comfortable at work and sort of being able to work a little bit after work, I can actually turn around and start figuring out how to better promote things. Now I got to probably on this one, I got railroad ties, so put railroad ties down here and add the rail. I think I found out that Atlas also makes code 55 N scale track, so that's why I'm able to find a different source of uh, code 55 track. Uh, thing is that during the during the 1800s and all that, they did use much smaller track or uh, smaller height track. So code 55 and actually code 40 was probably a little bit more accurate than code 100. And that's why I'm, trying to find all the code 5. Maybe use the code 40 in some of the, like in the, more in the yards and stuff like that. That also may require modifying locomotive drivers. And for this, I mean, it's not really pizza cutter wheels. So code 55. Actually, the code 55 is not deep enough to actually hit the ties. But I have might be possibly hitting the spikes. I wind up gluing them, probably not so much. First thing to do is to good to know. See that the turnout ties are actually wider than the bridges. Which these are going to be cut down to size. Going from there. I'll see about probably turning around and coloring these first. Sort of give a preview. And now that I'm thinking, I probably should have. Thing is, I have bought the Fast Tracks turnout jig. Now I'm starting to think that I probably should have turned around and also bought the jig for straight tracker. But maybe later. One of those things that right now I'm just learning on how to do the the harder things to do. Switches are harder than just straight track. Yeah, these ties are not quite might have to height. Ties too. All right. Kind of get precision. Ooh. Now, how do you like Pico? Now that is Pico is Pico German or English? So 210. It's a good quarter inch off. All right, so it's about a good quarter inch, which is the same thickness as cork, usually. So looks like I might need another section of cork to go on here to raise everything up a bit, so it's even with the bridge. It's not quite half an inch. So maybe I'll go full half an inch high and then add some shims this to make it proper height. All right. So now I know what to do with that one. Yeah, Heath, I would have to say it's been this is my 26th one, and apparently that means I've been doing this for a half a year. My setup is not perfect. Especially for the thing is, my setup is perfect for being behind the scenes or doing stuff on the workbench, but not both. It's one thing I have not figured out a good way of doing this because all the monitors are that away. And let's see about switching this back over. Uh, Now we'll switch cameras and back onto this side. And it looks like we are now at 4 o'clock. Let's see. More options for townhouse. And the inner products are great. Yep. Well, the thing is that I'm using Fast Tracks. 55 is the smallest standard gauge stuff that they have. So it's that's why I decided to go that direction. It's sort of wanted to lean towards code 40, but then that winds up getting into narrow gauge, which that's not the direction I'm aiming for. So that so that's why I've sort of settled on 55 because 55 I think is more available than code 40. Because the only ones I've ever seen them with was microengineering, but now that microengineering is no longer a thing, now I'm finding out that Atlas and Pico have 55. So, but I guess this is it for me. Haven't I haven't recorded an outro yet, so it's one of those things outro or intro, which probably will make the transition a little bit easier and a lot less abrupt, but I'll get there eventually. So I believe the world needs more love. So find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around. And we are, all right, where'd the mouse go? We are